Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dawn Valandingham. I lead the retail team here at Spins. And today I have the privilege of speaking with Jeremy Neren from GrocerKey. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thanks so much for having me, Dawn. It's excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what you have to say. It's been a bit of a crazy 12 months, and I know you have big plans for your company. So for the audience, could you just tell us a little bit about you, your background, and what you do at GrocerKey today?
Yeah, so really for my entire professional career, I've been in grocery e-commerce. So close to 16 years now. For about a decade predating the start of GrocerKey, I ran a direct-to-consumer online grocery business in Madison, Wisconsin. And we actually warehoused most of our inventory for a bulk of the time we operated that business. So what would now be kind of characterized as a micro-fulfillment center. And then we transitioned that business into operating out of a physical grocery store. And that was really where we hit the aha moment for GrocerKey, because that retailer that we partnered with happened to have their own branded e-commerce business. And there was really only one player in that space at that time that served retailers with a branded e-commerce solution. And so we recognized an opportunity to leverage the technology we had built to power our own business and some of the expertise we had developed around in-store fulfillment and local delivery operations.
Very important, that supply chain knowledge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what year was GrocerKey formed?
So that was in late 2014, so November 2014.
How do you think about the market changing and evolving as it relates to e-com?
So the biggest thing we've observed is, retailers starting to, flip their mindset from we need to be doing something to we need to be doing something really well, and we need to own it. And so, Instacart and Shipt, the marketplace solution providers, they've done an exceptional job of serving consumer demand and in the process serving retailers. But now we're starting to see retailers realize we can't be totally reliant on those solutions, and we need to have internal competency in this area, and we need to build something of our own to serve customers directly.
So just to be clear with our audience, you go in and you help retailers put up their own site and their own e-commerce platform, and you do what to enable that? How, what are the benefits of going with GrocerKey?
Yeah, so everything we do is retailer branded. So we're really just a technology and service provider in the background, helping the retailer embody their brand through an e-commerce solution. And we're a little bit unique in that we can really roll up our sleeves and help the retailer think about the business comprehensively. And so I always say, the e-grocery business has technology as a component to it, but it really is just that. It's just a component. And there's a number of other things that the retailer needs to consider, everything from what's their strategy to their operating model to how they handle product data and attribution, which we'll obviously talk more about today. So there's many components to the business, and we like to really be high touch with the retailers we work with and help them think through each of those components and really guide them. That's what we're passionate about doing.
Sounds like a great partner. Sounds like a great partnership that you guys bring. My guess would be those retailers, the first question they ask you is, how much does this cost, which we're not going to talk about today, but they're going to do some sort of ROI calculation in the sense of, well, what do I get out of this? Or how does it help me build baskets? Or how does it help me connect with customers? How would you answer that question? How do you think about the role that you play in really building baskets or attracting customers?
Sure. Well, so there's, layers and layers to that. But when you look at the typical e-commerce basket, it's going to be several multiples of that average basket in store. And so across our platform, we've seen retailers achieve about $140 average basket size. And, in store, you're typically going to see something in the range of $30. And so we really obsess over all of the details within the digital, user experience that contribute to, just making it a very convenient experience, so customers ultimately buy more from the retailers that we serve. And there's a lot of nuance that plays into that. Dozens, if not hundreds, of features and functions sprinkled throughout our platform each in isolation may not seem like a big deal, but in aggregate, it can make a big impact. And so, that $140 average online basket from what we've observed is about 40% higher than the norm for e-commerce.
Wow.
But regardless, you're always going to see higher baskets online.
Mhm.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's amazing. You think about, you started this, you said back in, a handful of years ago, but it's kind of like dog years in e-com. For every year that you go, the technology gets significantly better. The user experience has gotten significantly better. And
Yeah.
so, I wonder what your plan is in working with Spins, why you chose Spins as a partner. I know you spoke a lot to us about making that user experience right and really being able to make it easier for the customer shopping on your platform. Could you speak a little bit to that and what you look forward to as we continue to build the partnership?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mentioned we kind of scrutinize all of the little details that play into the broader user experience. And so we view Spins as more than just a little detail, given the attributes that you bring to the table. And so you think about, how much you can impact the customer experience by giving them the tools to filter, search terms and department pages based on their individual dietary preferences, or maybe allergen info. Obviously, that can be really critical. And ensuring that, the digital aisles within the store have, all of the applicable data. And so that you don't have empty aisles, but you also have, aisles sorted correctly, which, when you get into that allergen info, I mean, that can be, for some people, that can be life or death even. The implications are very, very significant. And so it's important to have thorough data, but also probably more importantly, accurate data. And so that's what we get really excited about, and leveraging all the Spins deep attribute information.
Yeah, it has gone from, and even with COVID, it's gone from allergens to also being just such a platform for health and wellness. As folks think about launching new innovative products and think about the health of our families and ourselves as we continue to go through this pandemic, it really does become a necessity and kind of table stakes in order to really be able to interact with that customer when you may not be getting that opportunity in store. And then the platforms have grown so much. I'm really excited we were able to partner to get that to your customers early and to get your retailers involved early. When you think about one of my favorite questions I get asked in this role with Spins, but also in talking to people like you with the e-com background is, what are you most looking forward to? So if I'm guessing correctly, the e-com in 2020 was a bit of, you said we went from wanting to have it to wanting to be great at it.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of steps in between that people were somewhat panicked. Now that that's leveling out a bit and we've got a bit more of a roadmap going forward, what's going to be the shocker for us in the next couple of years? What's going to be the game changer? What are you most looking forward to as growth opportunities within your side of the business?
Yeah. So, obviously as a service provider to the retailer that's, now seeing this business become very meaningful to them, it raises the bar for us, because it inherently raises the bar for the retailer. And I think, we work primarily with, independent and regional chains. I think the stakes have been elevated for them, especially because the reality is people are now shopping with, their baskets, go across several different retailers, and they're almost always going to be touching one of these larger retailers, whether it be Amazon or Target or Walmart, that are investing really, really heavily in digital. And so when a consumer touches, one of those channels, their expectations elevate to that standard. And so now as an independent or regional grocery chain, you have to meet that standard, because that's where consumer expectations are heading. And so we kind of see this challenge for the retailers that we serve, and we get excited that, it really changes the impact that we can make. It raises the stakes for us, and it makes us, hopefully much more valuable to the clients we serve.
Yeah, it is interesting in the sense that some people just don't want to travel, in very far for the grocery store. So there's, small 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 store chains are the perfect clientele for you to really work with, because that e-com then again becomes table stakes. So when you think about, one of the questions I love to ask too is, So you work with a lot of retailers. A lot of retailers, again, you're a service provider to the retailer, but you also learn about their flaws or you learn about their opportunities. So if a retailer is listening to this, what would you say to them? Like, what advice would you give them as far as it relates to their platform or e-com or customer engagement or customer experience?
Yeah, so it's actually, my feedback is really simple, and it's that, you simply have to take action. And so, it's natural as a retailer to want to get things perfect. And certainly you want to get them right. But if you wait for perfection, the opportunity is going to pass you by, because especially in the digital channel, when consumer habits are formed, they tend to stick. And
Right.
so the longer you wait to get in front of consumers with an option that appeals to them, the less likely you're going to be to get them to stick with you. They're likely going to go to a competitor that offers, e-commerce and local pickup and delivery, as an option to them. And so it's so important to get moving. And obviously you want to iterate and, get things right. But you kind of have to do that on the fly now, especially if you're behind, if you haven't deployed these solutions in all your stores.
Yeah. So if you haven't gotten moving yet, you're already well behind. So get moving in 2021 quickly.
Yeah.
So this has been great. The other thing I like to do is there anything else that, as you're thinking about the industry that you're particularly proud of that you guys did, or that the industry, the e-com platform industry did during COVID? What are you proud of when you sit back at night, you think, this is more than just getting groceries or whatever. This is more than just a technology site. What are you really proud of coming out of COVID, specifically from a GrocerKey standpoint, or from, your industry standpoint?
Yeah. So, from a GrocerKey standpoint, I'm just so proud of what we as a company accomplished, on behalf of the retailers we served. And, I think in moments like we've all been through over the last year, going through a pandemic, you start to realize like the power of a team and really helping each other get through what's inherently a struggle, personally and professionally. And so I'm so proud of our team for banding together and getting through that, and then achieving great results for our clients. We had some retailers that literally overnight their e-commerce volumes went up 40 to 50 times what they were experiencing prior to the pandemic. And obviously that's an extreme case, but even for mature businesses, doubling or tripling overnight, and that's not easy to handle. And so, I think our team did an incredible job with that, and I'm just so proud of that.
Yeah, I would echo that. Congratulations on an amazing year, not only from a business standpoint, but for getting groceries in the hands of people that really needed them. So with that, we like to end with just a personal question. We like to do a pay it forward segment. And again, this is really some piece of advice that you'd like to share. Think of the young folks out there maybe coming in the industry, those of us who are, burning the midnight oil on a regular basis. Would love to just hear any advice that you have, maybe a mantra you live by, or just a piece of advice you'd like to share.
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur for my whole professional career, and so this is probably targeted somewhat at fellow entrepreneurs, but I think it applies to any professional. And to me, that's just making sure that you're always being patient and perseverant, and kind of striking a balance there. Success doesn't happen overnight. You read about success stories, and sometimes it feels like it occurs overnight, but there's always that struggle in the background. And I think that's, it's really powerful to remind yourself of that, because you're going to have down days. And, so constantly being patient, but also don't, back down from challenges, and, work through them. And, obviously everything we've been through in the last year is kind of a perfect example of that. Probably the biggest challenge we've all faced, again, personally and professionally.
Yeah, patience and perseverance. What great. I will end on that. And so thank you, Jeremy, for your time today.